Welcome to Out of the Rough. I'm Fred Arnold, and in this show, we're going to highlight opportunities and solutions to help get you out of the rough and into success, both personally and professionally. In these tough economic times, I want to bring to you practical solutions to many of today's challenges. Today, I'm joined by my good friend, Jerry Citarella. Jerry Citarella is the founder of Infinity Wealth Management and the author of The Truth Helps.
Yes.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Also,
Thank you.
fellow provisor.
Fellow provisor.
Yeah.
Fellow gym member.
Yeah.
And
we get to see each other in the morning when we work out. We talk clients. It's
right.
great relationship.
Then we put nice clothes on and help people.
Exactly. Let's talk about avoiding the wish I would've.
Wish I would've. Yes.
Yeah. Tell me about that.
Well, this is it's a talk I do, and it's something that I've been talking about for years, but I've kind of formalized the talk now. In my business, I get to hear a lot of things many people don't hear. And I've been in this business now coming up on 23 years. So whether it's someone who's retiring, whether they just had a kid, lost a kid, getting married, getting divorced, going to college, sending their kids to college, whatever it may be, at that moment in time, there's always a point where someone says, I wish I would have. It's not very often that people come and say, everything's perfect, we planned properly. I mean, unfortunately, we know that to be true. So over the years, I heard a lot of people say, I wish I would have. Oh, I wish I would have. So what I did is I put together a talk, a seminar, if you will, kind of compiling the wish I would haves that I've heard the most, and as it says there, messages from your future. So my goal is to help you listen to yourself, tell you a message, because I know what the statistics are and what most people say.
Right. We talk about getting wisdom.
Yes.
What was you'd mentioned to me, one of the top things that people say?
Well, top things people always say is, I wish I would have listened to my grandfather. And unfortunately, in this country, a lot of times we push our elders aside, where other societies respect them and really praise what they have to say.
Absorb that
Absorb
wisdom.
it, yeah. I mean, I love finding anybody over 80, 90 years old and just sit, shut up and listen, and you'll get a lot of good information. So there's always that stuff out there that they say, you know, and you take it for granted. I know we're both parents. How many times have you said something now that your parent or your dad or mom said to you?
All the time.
And you go, I can't believe I just said that.
You know, I have a saying,
They were right.
Yeah, they were right. I had a saying that once I figured out that my father had most of the answers, my son realized I didn't have any.
Yes. Yeah.
Isn't that so true?
It's a natural cycle.
Hey, let's talk about that. I wish I would have. Most people don't say, I wish I would have spent more time at the office.
No, I rarely hear that one. There's only one guy that I've spoken to that said, I wish I never would have retired. But what's interesting is he retired very comfortably. But no, most people, that's their biggest thing. Say, there's two or three that I hear the most. One is definitely, I wish I would have spent more time with my family. Tons and tons of regrets there because you just don't get that time back. If you don't have enough money, that's on you. But if you don't spend enough time with your family, that's something that you can never get back that time. You have photos possibly, but you know, I know when my kids want to snuggle with me on the couch, if sometimes I'm not in the mood to snuggle, we try to make a point just to take that time and snuggle because we're this far away from it.
Sometimes you have to reset yourself. You know,
do.
as a parent, especially, you know, moms at home all day, sometimes they need to go for a walk and dad needs to take over and then dad needs to prep himself as he drives home.
Right,
Yeah.
right, by all means.
Yeah.
So that's one of the biggest ones I would just wish I would have spent more time. And you know, there comes a point, it's one guy I knew, very successful, very wealthy, had all the opportunity in the world, working like crazy. And I said to him one day, he was a guy I was working with, I said, when's it enough for you? I said, I know your schedule, I know your life, I know your wife, your kids, I know what suffers. I said, when's it enough? And he said, I don't know. He says, I'm just into it and I can't stop.
Right.
For him, I know there's going to be some wish I would have.
Yeah, certainly some addictions.
Yeah.
Addiction of work.
Right.
Let's talk about a chapter in the book, What's Most Important.
Okay.
What is most important?
It's different for everybody, but I think if you bring it down to its core, for most people, it's going to be their family, their health, and financial security. Family and financial security sometimes go together because without one, you can't spend much time with the other. I think a lot of people think having an exciting weekend is what's most important, and that's good, but that's a very short-term goal. So again, hearing years and years and years of conversations. I've talked to a few people on their deathbed, their last words, and actually I opened up this talk with a conversation I had with a gentleman where I was one of the last people to talk to him. And the conversation that I had with him, we both knew was our last conversation. And I always have trouble getting through this conversation, but I dialed the phone knowing this is the last time I'm ever going to speak to this man, and he knows this is the last time he's going to speak to me. So going into that, what do you expect? Take care of my wife, is what he told me. And he said, take care of those two beautiful girls of yours.
Yeah. Wow. What a great advice to you.
All the wisdom he could ever give me was take care of my family and take care of yours.
That's beautiful.
And that was it.
Let's talk about perception versus reality.
Yeah, perception is, well, you have a specific area of that, or you just want me to?
Well, our perception is we're going to have enough money when we retire.
That's fun.
Yeah. And the reality is when you pencil it out, if you retire at 60 years old and you live 25 years, you're not living your money.
Yeah, well, the calculation I always give is real simple. I like to break everything down in its simplest form. People say, how much will I need to retire? I say, just use this number. And please, this is no facts. This is all the disclaimers in the world underneath. This may not happen. But I say, if you have $1 million put away, you can pretty comfortably rely on about $50,000 a year in income. Simple, 5% growth rate. Maybe you earn a little bit more and it grows a little, maybe you earn a little bit less. That's keeping principal intact. A nice, safe, reliable, realistic plan. So if you're making $70,000, $80,000 a year now and you're barely squeaking by, and your plan says you might have $500,000, which some people just, it seems like, if you're making 70 and you have $500,000 saved, it just sounds like a big number. And the same thing with life insurance. Oh, my wife will be fine, I'm leaving her $500,000. Well, you make $150,000 a year. So for every $50,000 you want, you need $1 million put away. And it's more complex than that, but it's a really good starting point. So as we were kind of talking about earlier, that gets scary. If you're making $150,000, oh my gosh, I have to save $3 million. I'll never get there. Forget it, I'm not even going to try. And then people just go back to all the excuses of the motorhome's more important and the big boat and the big house and all the vacations, because I'm never going to get there anyway, I might as well just enjoy today. So it's a mind shift that has to be in place. And if you don't get there, heck, get as close as you can, because people are living longer. And we've all seen people that are not successful in retirement. It's not a pretty life.
It's all about planning, right?
Always.
And I think that getting a book and consulting with you would be really a big first step.
I totally
finding
agree.
out where they're headed,
Yeah. And whether it's me or someone else, in the book, actually, I teach how to find a financial advisor who's qualified. This isn't a use me book. It's not a self-help book. It's actually how to be successful in this process and how to find an advisor who's right for you. So there's a lot of information in there that can guide you to a financial professional that can help you, and there's ways to check credentials and different things to look out for. And I always say, don't just talk to one. Interview 2 or 3 or 4. I mean, this is a process that's pretty darn important. If you're going to buy a car, you may test drive 50 of them. People go to the first financial advisor and say, here's all my info, please help.
Yep. Look it up and learn, educate yourself.
Definitely.
There's so much you can educate yourself on. And I think Jerry and I both agree on one last thought is not only take care of your financial health, take care of your physical health.
Yeah, that's been a big thing for me. That was one of my wish I would have. My grandfather and all of his brothers dropped dead of heart attacks in their 60s.
So that's why you and I are at the gym at 4:45,
my cholesterol was
right?
high and I was 25 pounds overweight. I said, it's enough. I'm not going to have a wish I would have.
Yeah, and
So
Jerry's
we're
gotten
good.
himself in great shape.
Thanks, you
those
too,
early
my friend.
morning,
You too,
absolutely.
definitely.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jerry Citarella from The Truth Helps. And real quickly, phone number for you?
Yeah, phone number 661-255-9555, extension 11. Google search Jerry Citarella, Citarella. It's hard for me to hide these days, so
Citarella.
you can find me.
You know what? This video will come up tops.
Perfect. Perfect. We'll get there.
Great. Thanks, Jerry.
Thanks,
for
Fred.
coming in.
Appreciate it.
Hope you enjoyed this interview. We'll be right back.